Everybody, we're gonna start going into editing your videos here. So what I've done already is I've set this up. I've recorded a quick gameplay footage, so if you notice, we'll play this really quick. See, we have some gameplay footage, but the problem was, and I did this for simplicity's sakes and to make sure you guys remember this step, was I recorded the voice, my mic, with Bandicam. So there's two audio tracks. But if you notice while I was playing, and I only gave you a short sample, at no point did my voice come across. Now, if you remember this, you're going to know exactly what I'm about to do, but I wanted to, again, go over this step to make sure you didn't forget it. If you're going to use Adobe, especially, you need to remember this. If you use Bandicam to record your audio with the video, and I would assume DxTour and everything, if it is the same with DxTour. If you do multiple lines, you're going to have to remember you got to do right-click, extract audio stream. Now we have two audio streams. This is the stream 1, it says 0, and then this stream 2, which says stream 1. This one is going to be my voice. Here, set it in Hagar, the moves. So that is the one we want to get out of this file because it's not part of the video in terms of the video itself. So let's go into our audio and then audio raw. This is unedited, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do two things. We're gonna first bring up Adobe Premiere Pro. I have CS 5.5 at the moment. 6 is indeed out. I haven't used 6. I don't know if there's a gigantic jump between 5.5 and 6. I highly doubt there's anything insanely different, but I'm sure 6 has its advantages. They usually always do when they get updated. So if you're using 6, I'm sure there's going to be different things you can do a few different ways in what I'm going to show you, but again, the basics is going to be the same, what you want to learn. So I just opened up my Adobe Premiere Pro. You could have Sony Vegas, whatever. We're going to do a new project. And the first thing with Adobe is we need to figure out where we want to save the file. I'm going to save this into a different folder. If you notice, I have all these this learn work folder. This is where I'm putting all these lessons about this stuff. And I'm going to put it in the 10 folder. This is set up like that template I showed you. I'm going to put it in video project and do select folder. And then we need to name it. I'm going to name mine DP for Dead Pixel, and then I'm going to call it like Slam Masters. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. And you could name it something different if you wanted to. I definitely commend you and say you should, for all intents and purposes, name it well. Name it something you're going to remember exactly what it is that you're doing. For example, the game I reviewed that we're going to do this editing to is Saturday Night Slime Masters, so Slime Masters makes sense. If we played Mario, I would name it Mario. If we played Sonic, I would name it Sonic. I would not name it something like Video 02. That's not going to help you if you go searching it for. So always try to remember what you're saving your video as and name it correctly. So next thing, so we've done Adobe, we've set up where we want it to save and how to save it. We need to select how it should be outputting it, what we should be working in. I prefer going into this HDV folder and having these selections here of 1080p and 720p. I usually work in 720p just in terms of using YouTube, uploading my stuff to YouTube. That's not necessarily something you have to do. I'm going to, for simplicity's sake, leave it at the 720p, which means it's 1280 by 720, and then 30, which means 30 frames per second. I don't change anything over here on the settings or the tracks, and then I just rename the sequence to whatever I named my file, but that's just, again, a personal thing I do. You do not have to necessarily do that. So we're going to hit OK, and this is going to bring up our whole video section. So nothing's been entered in here. It's just our default layout. If you notice here, at the top are our videos, video 1, 2, 3. audios 1, 2, 3, and then our master for the audio. You can also go in here in our audio mixer and edit the levels right here, edit it if it's going towards the left or right speakers, and even change the master. You don't really ever want to touch the master volume. You want to leave that alone. If you have to, in order to make it sure people's speakers aren't blowing up, to move the number down, you can. But this is more of a last ditch resort of moving this volume. Whenever you're messing with the volume, you want to focus on just editing these and getting it correct. That's if you have to, but you shouldn't. So what are we going to do with our Adobe Premiere? How are we going to set up our video? Well, I can show you how I set up mine. The first thing I'm going to do is go back into our video project, and I'm going to drag that guy in. That is the video I just recorded, and you've noticed down the bottom right, it's loading the video in. Then, and this is just something I have special things. I have an intro. I usually have for everything an outro, and then I actually have a watermark I usually put in. You also see I have some other files here. These I do for using different folders, different games. This is for Nintendo DS screens, so I have one major screen, and then the second screen goes here. And then I have different things I was working on, and this is one I used to for 4:3 games, which actually Saturday Night Slam Master should be in a 4:3. It's stretched out to be in a 1280 by 720, but realistically I should have left it in its 4:3 ratio. Originally, older games, older video, and you'll see that still is old. Things used to be recorded in a 4:3 ratio. They're now recorded usually in a 16:9, 1280 by 720. That's 16:9. So in order to fix it, to get my 4:3 to 16:9 ratio without just having black bars, I made a scale fixer, I call it. And maybe that'll be something I show you later on in terms of how to do that. But for now, we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to worry about our basic editing. So I'll go ahead. I'll personally drive in, and this is only because I have on my intro, my outro, and my watermark logo that I use. And then I'm going to go back into this and go into my audio raw. That's my unedited guy. And we're going to start up Audacity. And I'm going to go ahead and drag this guy in. And I'm going to say you make a copy. Okay. And now this is the audio of me talking. This is completely raw. We're going to do File, Save Project As. And we're going to get out of raw. And we're just going to go to a whip. And I'm probably going to rename this to... we can leave the Saturday Night Slam Masters, but then WIP, Work in Progress, just so I have that differentiated. So now let's go back to focusing on our audio, guys. So we need to clean this guy up. This is just, again, raw. Hey, how's it going, guys? We got another exciting game here. So I haven't done anything yet. Let's go ahead and just do some quick fixes to this. The first thing I'm going to probably do is do my compressor. Oh, excuse me, wrong compressor. Effect. Compressor dynamics. And then, again, we had a video where we went all over a lot more of this. I'm probably going to just kind of speed through it. To not waste too much time on this, since I know you've probably already gone over some of this, and you're probably more interested in the video editing part of it anyways. So let's see how it sounds now. Exciting game here at Saturday Night Slam Masters. Let's see what we have. We got this. Okay, sounded better. Let's also do my... let's not even worry about the EQ. We'll just do our normalize. We'll skip ahead, and I'm going to do -2, just make sure nothing blows out a speaker. Should be fine. Drop the basket. Drop it. Get in the ring. Sounds like my voice is going to come across. Simple enough. We just did, again, quick and messy and not how I would normally do it. But nonetheless, that is how I did this time for the simplicity of, let's get through this. Just going to exporting the file. I'm not going to tag anything because it's just going to a video file. I'm going to say okay. It's going to start doing its magic. While we're waiting on that, I'm going to start doing my magic in here. I'm going to drag my intro before I do anything. So now I have my intro lined up, and then I'm going to look at my audio mixer. And this is something you're going to always want to keep in mind. You never really actually want audio just at the center unless you only have one audio coming in. If you're working with multiple tracks, you want them overlaid on the left and the right. So what I'm going to do with my audio 1, I'm going to put it -2, and then on my audio 2, I'm going to do 2, and now everything coming out the first audio is going to come out a little heavier on the left, probably nothing too noticeable. Anything coming out of the second audio channel is going to come out further on the right speakers. Again, probably not much noticeable. And then one thing I normally do is I usually kick this guy to a -6, and that's just in terms of how the video is already set up in my other videos. I drag this guy, this first audio channel, down a little. Now, you may not have to be doing that in terms of you just got gameplay. You'll probably be doing different editing, but that's something I do because I'm using multiple video files and I kind of want ones to be at a different audio level already. So we've set up our audio mixer. You probably only really need to pay attention to that part right now. And again, remember that you don't want to touch this unless you have to. So Audacity should be done. So let's jump in. Sure is. There's our MP3. And now you'll see that the MP3 is being imported. So let's grab our AVI. This is our video file. This is our game. So if you notice, all I did was drag everything into here, and then I'm just dragging it down. If you come down here, you see the mountains. If you drag it to the left, things get more expanded. You can see the time up here. If you drag it to the right, you'll see you get much further in here. So now this is going little by little, and you can see the increment here. So little by little, that's just a frame. You're going frame by frame. So you'll see this, it has the channels. It put the video 1 to an audio 1 on here. It put the next video, I dragged down the Slam Masters video to video 1 and audio 1. And you'll see it has the audio and everything, these yellow lines, and I'll explain that in a second here. So if we just click, you'll see this line comes ahead, and whatever this line is touching is what our editing panel, our view panel is showing. You probably want to have this select zoom to fit so you can see exactly how it's going to come. If you want, you can do different levels. If I do 100%, this is the exact resolution it's coming out to. If I do fit again, this is just me being capable of seeing everything. So let's now drag our audio down. There is our audio. We're just going to drag it right to the audio 2. And then I'm going to click this button down to see my voice level. And one thing we want to do is make sure everything is synchronized. Let's see if it is. Game start option, game start option, game start option, game start. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Now I'm sure you're paying attention, but in this video here, what it was showing me, and I explained it before, is I always want to make sure everything's synced. If I have a good, game screen like this, I move up and down on the joystick. I select different modes and say what I'm looking at. Oh, game start option, game start option, game start option was what I was saying here because those are the two I had. That is just to make sure everything's synced because I don't want to be off a few seconds here or there. You want everything synced up. It was really easy to do it this time, and the reason it's spot on is because Bandicam recorded the video and the audio at the same exact rate. If you're doing Audacity, you're going to have them off, and you're going to have to make sure you do this step. You really need to in order to make sure everything's synced. So we have that. I'm going to zoom out a little. So we know we're synced. Everything should be okay at the start. But let's see some problems we could run into. Let's see if I leave it right here. There should be gameplay footage and me talking. Let's see how it comes across. Let's see what we have. We got the selection between sync. Now, if you noticed, there's a problem in the sense that the game audio is kind of loud and going across my voice. So my voice is there. You know my voice is there. You can pretty much make out what I'm saying, but it's not coming across too well. That's something we're going to have to work on, and there could be different ways we could do it. We could drag this guy really low, and now... So we need to pick our guy. Now you can definitely hear me, right? But if that's not something we want, because we want some audio in there, and if I have it all the way down, let's say I go to my intro, you don't hear anything on the intro, even though I want you to hear that. So this isn't the end all be all. You don't want to do that at its lowest, because if you do that at its complete lowest, it's editing not just this selection, but it's going to be doing anything related to this audio track, to audio 1, anything at all. Alright, so let's start doing our editing processes, huh? First thing we should probably do is figure out where do we want to start our video. So if we come in here, and I'm going to first, before I do anything, I'm going to click that audio, the speaker on audio 1, because if I unclick that, it doesn't play the audio. The audio will still be there if I render it out, but it just means right now if I'm going to play it, I won't hear anything. It's muted, but the audio in this sense has not been edited. Hey, how's it going, guys? We got another exciting game. Okay, so my voice cuts in there, but we probably want to come in closer around here, right? And if we notice, I probably have a countdown starting in 3, 2, 1, start. So we could probably do something like this, is start around where I'm doing this countdown. Now I'm going to go to this selection by hitting the C key, I believe. Yep, the C key, that's on Adobe Premiere. What it is just this razor, and what it's going to do is as soon as I click, it's going to cut this, and it's cutting right on this red line. And then I'm going to delete this section here because there's no need for it. That's just junk. I'm also going to try to come in here and I'm going to do another cut because I don't want my audio of me saying 3, 2, 1. I don't want you hear me doing a countdown. I want this just to be part of the game. So we cut that off. We cut it off right where my voice comes in, and we're going to move this guy in. So now let's just come in here. And you're going to see, hey, what game am I playing? We're playing Saturday Night Slime Masters. It just transitioned in. We got the game just starting up. And here my voice rolls in, and I start explaining what we're looking at, what I'm seeing, what I want to do. That's something you want to do. You know, you want something like that where people know what type of game you're playing, and you want to then start talking. You don't want to leave them on too long of a hook. This is probably pretty long. You probably can get away with doing it this long. You don't want to go too long. You know, you don't want to go 3 minutes in before you finally say anything, because you do want them to know you're doing a Let's Play, you know, so that they have some commentary that they can enjoy. But at the same time, you should do something to let them know what game they're going to be watching, you know. So obviously this is great. It's the title screen, Saturday Night Slime Masters, comes across, comes in, and we start talking. So now let's do some editing with this in terms of audio. Let's fix this. So we obviously don't want the game audio and my audio fighting each other. We can't have that. We want the game audio to be there, but be in the background. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to first zoom in a little closer on this so I can see exactly where my voice starts coming in. And I'm going to click the game, this audio 1 audio, and I'm going to go to the effect control, and I'm going to go to volume, click that down, and then look at level. Now level is what the volume is in terms of this audio being played at. So right now it's being left alone at 0 decibels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this, and what that means, it's telling Adobe Premiere everything before it and coming to it keep at this effect. So it's telling it, hey, don't change anything here. So anything before it, it's going to be at this 0. Now I'm going to come here and I'm going to go -18, and it's automatically set up another one. And now if you notice, between these two, it transitions evenly between 0 and -18. So let's see what happens. Let me zoom out a little bit. What's going on here? So let me just play it. Hey, how's it going, guys? We got another. So you notice game audio got quieter. That's what we wanted, and it didn't mess with this audio here, even though on the same audio channel we only edited this audio. So you'll also notice this yellow line has now moved. That's what this represents. This yellow line represents on the audio channel. So now let's go ahead and jump ahead forward. This is where you could do a lot of your editing, cutting up slivers you want and the slivers you don't want. Keeping what you wanted and you didn't want. That's going to be your own personal preferences. You obviously comprehend now that you have an ability to cut and move around things, but you're going to have to figure out what do you like to keep, what do you not like to keep in that sense. So one other quick thing I'm going to do, and this is something I have and not something you necessarily have to have, is put my watermark in, and I'm going to start it for when the game actually starts, and you'll see, bam, it's right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and drag it all the way out and just clicked and drag. Went perfectly by itself where exactly I wanted it. And then one thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go to the effect control while I'm on this video 2. And video 2 means it's above video 1. So anything I put on video 2 layers itself above video 1. Anyway, so I'm going to go to opacity, and I'm going to drag this guy down to something like this. So now you'll notice, if you've been paying attention, it's not as strong on there. It's not solid. You can see through it. So if we start going to some of this gameplay footage, you notice it's there. You can tell it's there, but it's not like it's so strong there that you can't see what's going on. You can see the back of this head still. Anyways, let's now jump to our last of just this bit of the editing. Where do we want to end off? That's going to be, again, a personal preference, but let's see where I stopped talking, basically. I'll leave it here because I'm just pathetic. Later, guys. So actually, it's probably pretty good, kind of how it is now. Let's go ahead and just to show you, I'm going to cut it here. I'm going to cut my audio there because I stopped talking and I don't want any extra garbage that could possibly be there. And then I should just be able to drag this guy back. Bam. Set that up. And now let's do our final touches. So I stopped talking. What I want and what I usually like having is a fade to black to my outro, which is going to go right there. And so in order to do my fade to black and everything, I'm going to do this. I'm going to click this button again saying, hey, keep this guy from the first one you have back there and this one at this -18. Not the first one, the second one. The first time it's ever been at this -18, and this second time I've told it. So nothing in between these two. At no point will this audio, this level change, because I've told it, hey, stay directly at that amount. What I'm going to now do is then also go to opacity, and this is for the video. This is, you'll see it. I'm going to click here, and it's saying, hey, stay at 100%. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump towards the end, and I'm going to put opacity to 0. I'm going to drop the level down like that, just to a huge, a very large, or I guess technically small number, a very large negative number, and you'll see this yellow line bent drastically down. It went from 100 to 0. This, you don't see anything drastically, but it did drastically go down. And let's play it again, guys. So now I have that fade to black. At the same time, if it's done fading to black, my logo starts being on here, and it does my outro just like I wanted it. So that's how I do my type of editing styles. That's just the basics of editing in terms of understanding opacity, level, throwing different video, God, I don't know what to call it, different layers on each other, and being capable of syncing your audio with it. So right now, this video to me would be done. This is how I'd want it. So now I'm going to go ahead and render it. This is going to be something I personally prefer to do with Adobe Premiere. You probably don't have this with Vegas. I don't know if Sony Vegas has an option like this or not, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. So you want to go and export it, right? So we're going to do File, Export Media. And he's going to do this little pop-up here. And he's going to tell us, it's going to give us options, where should we save it, how should we save it, and everything. If you notice, it gives me this slider here with Premiere. If I click one of these buttons, if I click this one, it's going to tell it to set the beginning at this point. If I click this button, it would set the finish at this point. So it's only going to render whatever is in this yellow, this gold, would be the only video that's going to render out, and I can change it by just clicking around here if I wanted to. Obviously I want it to render everything, so I'm not going to do that. Now we're going to come into our export settings. I prefer doing this H.264. That's also the codec I told you I prefer in DxTory. Then a preset. I have a slightly custom one. I call it Dead Pixel 720 YouTube. It's based off of YouTube Widescreen HD. The only real change-ups is I kind of make it grab a few extra things. Anyways, so if you want, you'll see my settings, and then you can save it exactly like mine. Otherwise, it would tell you just do this YouTube Widescreen HD. That is what I would suggest. Output name, how do you want it slaved? It's going to automatically tell you it's saving as whatever you named it as, so DP Slam Masters. MP4 is what it's saving as. I'm going to put it into my lesson 10, video output, save. And then I'm going to go and we'll see filters. I got nothing on. Multiplexer. MP4. Stream capability standard. I don't need it for PSP or iPad. I want it as the standard video. You'll see here I keep it as a NTSC. US and Japan, as you notice, it just popped up our NTSC. Europe and Asia are PAL. I'm American, so NTSC is what I got it set up as. It's a 1280 by 720 render. That's 720p. Frame rate I put at 30. And then I have the profile at high. Level at this 3.2. Let's see. Alright, yeah. And then I usually have that checked. Render at maximum depth. Must have somehow unchecked that and then saved it again. Yep. I would say have that checked. And then VBR 2 pass, and I have it at an 8 and a 10 as my target bit rates. So that is what I set up. It's very similar to the YouTube Widescreen HD, and it's set up, but there's also the audio I'll show you. I just do AAC, 48 high, bitrate at 192. I usually like to have stuff a little on the higher end to get the audio and the video to render well. Then render quality, use maximum render quality, and then I would say that's how I'm going to set it up and render. And then if you see estimated file size, that's about how large it's going to be. Now you could hit export. What I'm going to show you to do is hit Q. Now why would you want to hit Q instead of export? I'm going to show you. Of course I'm going to show you. That's what I'm doing. The Q is going to bring up this Adobe Media Encoder file. Now this is what I've said. I don't think at Sony Vegas has something like this. I could be wrong. It very well does have something like this. It very well could, but I don't know what it would be called or how to set it up to it. Anyways, with the Adobe Media Encoder, I can now do a new project, do all my things, and keep putting them in this file. And then I'd have, Slam Masters, RoboCop, Mario, Sonic. So I have all of them set up. And then as soon as I'm done doing all the editing to all my videos, I can say, hey, go ahead and start rendering by hitting the start queue. And now it just starts rendering instead of me doing my editing, doing my post-production stuff, and then saying, hey, queue, render that for me. Then waiting, then coming back, doing another one, then going, hey, render. This one is much more streamlined. If you do all your work and then you go, hey, render all that stuff. You go away, you come back, all your videos are already rendered, and then you throw them up in YouTube. So if you're using Adobe Premiere, I'm going to suggest using this ability to queue. Obviously, if you only have one, it's not going to save you anything. But if you're going to do multiples, I would say definitely put in this queue, this Adobe Media Encoder, do a queue, have a bunch of them, queue them all up at the same time and let them render. And with that, I think we're going to leave it here, guys. Hopefully this is giving you a good start on setting up everything you need for your Let's Plays. See you later, guys.